All right. So thank you for being here in the last 10 minutes of the conference. So I hope you're feeling good. I thought maybe we could do a quick stretch together. Does that sound good for anybody? Yes? Okay. All right. So we'll do one of my favorite stretches, which is you're going to just take your hands behind your head, just like lay one hand on top of the other, just like that. And then take a deep breath and then just lean your head back into your hands. You can close your eyes. It's an opportunity to really get out of your mind and into your body. And then when you breathe out next, you can just tuck your chin to your chest and just very gently feel the weight of your hands right at the back. And you should feel a nice stretch. And then you can just come back to a nice tall position and release your arms, maybe do a few shoulder rolls. I thought I could at least borrow 20 seconds from the lightning talk for that, because we're at the end of 2 very long days, wonderful days. So my name is Justine. I am one of the teaching and learning librarians at Brock University, and I'm also a fitness yoga instructor for my part-time job. So that's why I wanted to get a little bit of both into the presentation. So thank you for being here. This is my first access, and honestly, it's one of the nicest groups of people, like one of the nicest conferences I've been to, maybe on par with a fitness conference. And that there's a lot of hugging and like a lot of high-fiving at those, but this still feels very, very friendly. So I'm so glad to be here. So a little bit of background. This is very much a pilot project. So it really just started this fall. But back during COVID, I was on maternity leave and I was teaching fitness at that time. And I wanted a way to connect with some of my participants and just share some bar routines online. So I started building a bar account and just sharing things you could do at your kitchen counter. And it was tons of fun and I still do it and I love it. So I thought maybe there's a way that I can bring this into library instruction as well. So that's been this project. Okay, now I'm going to struggle with the slides here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so a little bit about social media. I'm sure you all use social media. So hands up if you have an Instagram or a TikTok account that you use. I didn't really know what this room would be like. I felt like maybe some people might not be using it, but pretty much everybody is using some form of social media. So I have some statistics up here, but the two that I really want to highlight in terms of teaching at a university library are that, you know, most of our students are generally searching more on social media than they are on search engines like Google now. So I felt like that's something that we really need to be aware of and take note of and just make sure that we are where our students are. And also that Reels are still the most engaging content on TikTok and Instagram. So it's kind of a focused way to get some information literacy concepts out there without a lot of time and effort. So those are some of the things I'm going to talk about. The point about people searching more on social media now than on Google, this really came into clarity for me. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and one of my reels is related to this. So all of a sudden she started adding chia seeds to water, like multiple times a day. And I always talk to her about like eating healthy and like taking care of her body. She dances. And finally I said, like, why are you doing that? Did you see this on TikTok? And she was like, yeah, I did. And she wouldn't tell me the reason why she was doing it, but it made me realize just like how strong of an impact, you know, that younger generation has on what they see and what they take in on social media. Okay, so why use Reels? So number one, they're really quick and easy. So generally Reels are best when they're less than a minute long. They can be up to 90 seconds, but they're very quick and easy to put together. They do take like a little bit of practice, but you can create them right on your phone. You don't need to be perfect because they're very much like a flash in the pan kind of, it goes out there, it gets a response, and then we move on. You can repost them again, but it's a very quick and easy process. You can repurpose them too. So I've used them before when I've gone into classes. I've shared them with the prof in advance. I had her ask their students to watch them before I come visit, or even just show them sometimes in a class situation. And they're fun, so they're a really great way to get students involved. I've had a couple students work with me on a reel or two, and just it's a really nice way and fun way to engage with students if you like social media. That's a caveat. You have to like social media to want to do this. Okay, so what types of concepts work well? So my best advice is to choose a really bite-sized concept. So Paul touched on the framework before. So I was able to pull a few things from the framework. So information has value. Haven't done this reel yet, but this could be something where, you know, you compare the cost of a new book on Amazon versus like the top you're going to go out in on Saturday night. So it's a way to promote interlibrary loan because instead of buying that book, you get to buy the top to go out in. And then They gather multiple perspectives. So that's my whole idea, is like question the stuff that you're finding online. So with my daughter, like, what made you think that you suddenly need to drink all of this chia water, as healthy as it is? And then my best tips is just to make it really easy to watch. So include people in the video. When people are in the video, it's going to get a lot more engagement because people like to see other people. And do something to grab their attention. So it can be something like an imagined text conversation. So I have done that before because it makes people want to keep watching, right? They want to see what the next text that pops up on the screen is. And also just explain to them why it's going to benefit them to watch the reel, because attention is so fractured, especially on social media. So if you can even grab like 20 seconds, you're lucky, before they go ahead to the next video. And then also ask them to share their experiences. So there's so much built into the platforms to ask them, what's their experience, or ask them to vote on something if you share it in your stories. So it's really fun. So I am not an expert on things like AI or technology. I don't understand the algorithm, but I have posted 400 reels. So I feel kind of confident in kind of some of this advice that I'm sharing. So this is one example. I don't know if the video is actually going to play. It may not, or it will. Okay, so there may not be sound. Okay, I'm just going to call. Okay. So I'm just going to pause it. Well, hopefully I can pause it. But basically, this is just one example. So it's kind of trying to grab their attention. And I have one more example to share. So this is that text conversation. And that former reel was for my daughter. She hasn't watched it yet. I was like, did you see the reel I posted? And she's like, no. But I have one more example. So this is the text conversation. So this was to promote our research fundamentals tutorial, which was something that students can go, something I find it's really hard to get students to go do a complete tutorial anymore unless they have to for a class, right? So unless the professor is saying, you have to watch this is part of your credit, it's not likely that they're going to sit through, a 20-minute tutorial, but maybe 90 seconds. They might be able to sit through 90 seconds. So this is one, I'll just play a little bit of it because I'm probably running out of time. But this one got a really good response in terms of like plays and saves and shares. Okay. So you can always check on Instagram. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with how Instagram works, but you can see which reels get more plays, which gets shared and saved. So that one was more successful than the others. So I'm really happy with that one. So this is my contact information. I would love to connect with you over Instagram or through email. That's our library account, but I do share lots of library stuff on my own Instagram as well. So the slides will be in the site so you can get the bibliography. But that's all I have. So thank you for your attention. Thank you so much, Justine. It's been a really fun way to end off our conference, and I really appreciate the stretch. I think I speak for a lot of us in the room. Really appreciate that stretch. I think we all need that moment. With that, we have time for just a couple of questions, I think. Oh, perfect.
Thank you for that. I've noticed with my library, our social media feed mostly only gets interaction from other people at the university and library staff. So I'm wondering if you have any comments about how you managed to get interest from actual students.
Well, that's a great question. To be honest, I don't control our social media account, so I'm a little bit limited. I don't always see responses and things like that. Some of the responses have been from students I already know, but we have a great relationship with the GSA through grad studies, for example, so they're able to share. So I tag them, they share it. So that's one way of getting access to more students, is if some of those student groups can share it. Yeah, I hope that answers the question as best I can.